Hello, I'm Norman Robinson, and welcome to Affordable Housing Matters. Today, we will discuss how Jefferson Parish is providing affordable housing for their residents and what plans they have in place for COVID-19 and hurricane season. And later on the program, we will sit down with the new chairman of the Parade of Homes and discuss how you can safely join in the parade this year. We have a great show planned for you, so don't go far. Well, welcome back. Not only are we currently still in the midst of a pandemic, but now we are also at the beginning of hurricane season, and you know how that is. Joining me now to discuss these topics and how they affect affordable housing in his area is the newly elected Jefferson Parish Council at Large for Division B, my friend Scott Walker. Councilman Walker, I got to get used to that.
You like the way that sounds?
Yeah, I got to get used for the sake of transparency. You know, this guy and I used to sit together on the news set at WDSU, and he was discussing his political ambitions, and I thought he was just full of hot air, you know.
Probably was at the time.
But it turned out that he was serious, and so serious that he actually got himself elected. So what's it been like on the other side of the anchor desk?
Yeah, nobody told me I was going to be elected, then there'd be a worldwide pandemic, but here we are. And I believe that you're put in certain places for a reason, and I feel like I'm here for a reason. And if it's because we won a campaign that was based on open communication and social media and being out there and exchanging information as quickly as we could, then that's the reason, because that's what we've focused on. I mean, 8 weeks, 9 weeks into this first term, our jobs changed tremendously. I told my staff on March 16th, after everything happened on March 13th, that our jobs changed. We became like full-time information pushers. We just put it out as quickly as we could in as close to real time as we could, and just gave people information. Because I knew from my TV experience, when you're on the desk for 12 hours during a severe weather event or any major news cycle or news story, people crave information, and you're there to give them information. That's why people put me there, and that's why people trusted us when we were on the air together, because they could count on that information. So it's public service on the other side of where we were in a
So
public
what's
role
public
before.
service like on the other side? I mean, we were both public servants to an extent on the anchor desk, but you're not in an elected office. You have a different dynamic. So what's that like?
And I tell people that there are a lot of similarities. There are some differences, but in the end, I think you're there to serve people. And TV, I think you deal with the day-to-day to get to those moments where you really show your worth and prove why you're there, and when you really need to be counted on in a severe weather situation or a major news event situation. On the political side, the public service side, it's more of an everyday thing, I think, because people have questions every day about whether it's the pandemic or it's a street light or a pothole or something like that. So I believe our job is to be as responsive as possible, as often as possible, and work for the people who put you there. And that's what I ran on in the campaign, is just being there for the people who elect me. I'm not going to work for anybody else. God knows I had no support during the campaign from any big money contractors or anything like that. So I really go to work every day and do the very best that I can for the people who put me in office.
So in going to work every day, what is the current state of Jefferson Parish in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic?
Jefferson Parish has actually done, from most accounts, really, really well. Our numbers are now higher than Orleans Parish. A lot of people like to point out that the case numbers are higher. Well, Jefferson Parish is testing at around 13%.
And you've got more people in Jefferson.
And we have more people, 50,000 more people in Jefferson Parish. But the fact that we're testing at 13%, I think the national average is 2 or 3%. And we were trying to get up to 5% at one point, but now we're 12 or 13%. So the fact that we are able to be so aggressive with our testing and see where the virus is in our community has helped us a great deal. And I think as we've gone back to work and back to business and people are eating in restaurants again, we haven't seen those big spikes. And the death numbers, while any deaths are too many,
Yeah.
they've been single digits for more than a month now on a daily basis, which is a really great victory.
We've talked about the health aspect of this pandemic, but what about the economic impact?
It's tough. I mean, obviously sales tax is down. Jefferson Parish's budget depends on sales tax quite a bit. April was bad. May is going to be bad when we get those numbers in. March wasn't as bad because it was half the month, but it's something we're going to have to deal with in the next budget process and see where we're spending money and where money doesn't necessarily need to be spent. What can be cut while not cutting essential services, which is something that Jefferson Parish has made sure that we did not do from the beginning. It was always imperative that people got paid and essential services kept going, but now it's going to be, I think, a different scenario going forward when we look at our future financially. Jefferson Parish is a very solvent parish. I mean, we've got a good reserve fund, but it's going to force some changes, I think.
And when we're discussing the financials, the financial aspect of Jefferson Parish, how important is that when we consider the need for affordable housing?
I mean, it's a big deal. One of the things that I ran on is trying to make housing affordable for everybody in Jefferson Parish, whether you're a young professional, whether you're a senior citizen. All this new construction that we have is great in a lot of areas, but a lot of it is cost prohibitive for a lot of people. So we need to make sure that a Jefferson Parish of the future has a way to have the young professional, the single person who's looking for a place to live in Jefferson Parish, that maybe they don't choose the warehouse district or downtown with all the great amenities they have there now. We need to have attractive communities now for those people in Jefferson Parish, like what's going to happen in Elmwood, where there'll be a mixed-use community. More of that in Jefferson Parish. The Clearview Shopping Center, which is going to be called Clearview Center in their redevelopment, where you have hotels, you have apartments, you have retail, you have dining. All those things are important for the future of Jefferson Parish to make it appeal to younger people and older people alike. Because when young people look for those amenities, that's one side of their life. But then as older people start to downsize and look to retirement, they look for those same amenities too in these mixed-use communities where they have their dining and retail nearby. And when they do downsize and move to those new mixed-use communities we hope we have, it frees up some of our aging housing stock in Jefferson Parish that then can be renovated and put back into commerce.
Yeah, well, you're looking at an older person who's looking at mixed use, who's looking to downsize. When you talked about Elmwood,
it's time for you to move to Jefferson Parish.
I might very well do that. It's on my list of places to consider. When I lived in River Ridge after Hurricane Katrina for 2 years, it's conveniently located. You know, it's easy to get to New Orleans.
And you still get a lot for your money out there.
Yeah, and it's easy to get to New Orleans downtown. It's easy to get to the airport. It's easy to get to the shopping center. So how much of a boon is this revitalization plan for Elmwood going to be?
It'll be big. We've talked to the people behind it, and Mr. Larcella in Elmwood it's got a tremendous vision for what that's going to look like. We've seen the plans. Now, obviously, we saw the plans right after I took office before this pandemic struck.
Right.
And I haven't followed back with him yet to see how this is going to affect those plans and how much it may delay it. But he was ready to knock down the old Kmart that went out of business last year. That's where some of the condos/apartments will be. There at one time was a plan for a hotel there. They scaled back on that, but some of the new shops that they plan to bring in there, besides the existing shops, some national name brands that they hope to get in there, really would make Elmwood a destination type place. And the same with Clearview. That's going to be a destination type place with entertainment and dining and living. And Target obviously will be there, and the anchor, Sears was an anchor store there, and they had another plan for a new anchor to come in there that was a big name, but to build around those things and to make it an attractive place for people in Jefferson Parish to go. I mean, how many places can you think of? I can't think of any offhand that offer that type of environment where you can live, work, and play in the same place.
And when we're talking about living and working and playing in the same place and mixed use complexes, I mean, how accessible are those types of places going to be for, like, you know, your blue collar worker, your low end working class person?
That's the big question. And I know some of the development in Elmwood will be reserved for lower income people. It'll be split in that community specifically. That was a conversation we had. And I think more as these developments come online, more of that thought needs to be given to things like that. It can't just be, this is the price for everybody and this is what you need to pay, and if you're priced out, oh well. Because there aren't a lot of places in Jefferson Parish where it's affordable and easy to get into and live. And that's something we need to work on. And since I took office, we've worked on different ideas and different plans that we'd like to look at to make it easier for people. Nothing's concrete yet, but and this obviously the pandemic slowed things down again, but it's something that was a big part of my campaign, and I hope that we can come up with the right plan to incentivize people to move to Jefferson Parish and make it worthwhile for people to come in where they get a little something back when they move to the parish.
What kind of relationship does your office have with builders and developers?
We shortly after the election met with the Home Builders Association, and they're very supportive and kind of aligned with the vision that we have. They are looking towards things like that, and I think in general, it seems from the meetings we've had, and we haven't had a ton of them because we had 10 weeks before everything changed, but the meetings we've had have all sort of pointed in that direction. They've aligned towards having affordable housing options, and no matter what a development may be, having those affordable options carved out within that development for that segment of people who need it.
Yeah, because when you really consider the workers, I mean, I think it makes more sense to have them live in a place that's nearby their work as opposed to traveling from, eons away.
Yeah, I mean, if you work in Jefferson Parish, we want you to live in Jefferson Parish, and if you work somewhere outside Jefferson Parish, we still want you to live in Jefferson Parish and not have too bad of a commute. It's something that, to get to where you want to be, it starts with education, and having the educated workforce that lives there and can work there and can raise a family there, and your children need to have the right schools to go to. So it's a big process. And Cade Brumley, who we loved in Jefferson Parish, just left for the state job. We didn't get a chance to work with him as much as we would have liked to, because I think he's brilliant. I think he'll be great as the state superintendent. And he was doing some really great things for Jefferson Parish schools. I think those will continue, but you work lockstep with your educational system, and it's a generation away with what we hope to do, but I hope we can start laying the groundwork now.
What are the demographics looking like in Jefferson these days?
Demographics how?
Demographics economically, demographics ethnically.
Well, I think most of our, from an age standpoint, first of all, I think I may have these numbers not exactly correct, but a large portion of our population, I think more than 60%, if it's either more than 50 or more than 60% of the Jefferson Parish population is 50 or above, 50 or older.
60 or more than 50%?
More than 50%
wow.
is 50 or older.
Okay.
And if that's wrong, I apologize, but the bottom line is that Jefferson Parish has an old population. It's an aging population. And as that population continues to age and downsize and retire and pass away for another generation to come in, we need to have an eye on the future with our housing and jobs and everything. It's a chance to, I don't want to say do better, because I think we've done well, but how great can we be? It's really good in Jefferson Parish, and things are moving along in a nice direction, and people generally seem to be happy here when they live here, but how great can we get? Can we be? What level can we get to?
Yeah, you're talking about improving the quality of life. I mean, that's basically it.
And we want Jefferson Parish to be a live, work, play parish. That's I think what we all strive for, is to be able to live, work, and play happily. And my kids are growing up in Jefferson Parish. I grew up in Jefferson Parish, and I love Jefferson Parish. I wouldn't live anywhere else. Other people will say, you won't catch me in Jefferson Parish. I'm not living in Jefferson Parish. We want to change the narrative a little bit and not have a reason for people to move to St. Tammany or to St. Charles or to Baton Rouge or wherever they may move away from Jefferson Parish. I know too many of my friends moved to the North Shore.
Sure.
We went off to college, we came back. I eventually came back to Jefferson Parish. They all live in St. Tammany Parish. I'd like more of them with their young families to be in Jefferson Parish.
You're giving them a reason to live in Jefferson Parish. Let's talk about hurricane season. I mean, we got off to a roaring start, if I could use that analogy when talking about hurricanes. Cristobal kind of, sneaked up on us, and we kind of dodged a bullet in that regard. What kind of preparations are you making in Jefferson, and what are you anticipating for this year's hurricane season?
Well, I think it was a good test run, this first storm, and it seems like the past few years we've had these early storms to give us a good test run. Our Emergency Operations Center was partially activated, so it was kind of a good run through of the systems there. You know, from our time in TV, we always look at these hurricane forecasts, and I always roll my eyes when the forecasts come out and they say they predict an above average hurricane season, they predict a below average hurricane season, because it only takes that one hurricane. It doesn't matter if it's above average or below average. It only takes one coming towards the Mississippi River or the Louisiana coast, and it's a bad hurricane season. So I tend to disregard and throw out those constant updates from the National Hurricane Center, and they want us to be informed. They want it to stay top of mind, but I think it's also causes unnecessary stress sometimes to tell people, oh, we expect this many named storms, this many major storms, or we don't expect this many, and you could fall into a sense of complacency. I think it's just good to be ready, be prepared, and think that if you have a plan, you'll be okay if one does come our way, and that's what we have to stress. And I think Jefferson Parish is ready. I know Jefferson Parish is ready. All the pumps were operational in this last storm, and we did have some flooding pockets in streets, in spots, but for the most part, things went like they were supposed to. Water doesn't typically get in people's houses. Grand Isle and Lafitte, Grand Isle had some problems with their burrito levee system, and we're going down to Grand Isle to look at what they're dealing with because they need some federal help. Grand Isle really needs some help, and Lafitte had 36,000 sandbags that they laid out in preparation for the storm surge they thought they might get. It didn't get as bad as they thought it would. They had some street flooding, but obviously Grand Isle and Lafitte are our most vulnerable spots. We need to protect them, and in turn trickle down and protect everybody else.
There you go. Now, from the side of the anchor desk that we sat on, we saw one thing when we were looking at hurricanes and hurricane preps. What are you seeing that's different on the other side of the anchor desk? Somebody who's vested with the responsibility of getting people ready, protecting people.
A lot of it is the same, because from a social media standpoint, you push out the message of readiness and preparedness, and videos, and point people to our checklists and what the EOC is doing. And I guess the difference now is that before, when we were at WDSU, we had Margaret Orr in our ear all the time, giving us all the information that we needed. Now we have our Emergency Operations Center and constant weather updates and constant contact with Entergy and our different providers who, every step of the way, it's been eye-opening for me to see how informed they keep the parish officials, how often they communicate with us, and how often they tell us what they're doing to mitigate problems. And that's been something really interesting to see, that they're always working, but how hard you see everybody working in a storm like that to make sure people are inconvenienced as little as possible is really nice.
All right. Councilman Scott Walker from Jefferson Parish.
It's not rolling off your tongue yet.
No, and what rolls off my tongue every time I see you is Air Dog.
That's right.
That's the name I used to affectionately call him when we were anchoring together on WDSU. And just for your edification, Air Dog means somebody who's always on, somebody who's always ready to broadcast, somebody who owns the camera, and he owned the camera when he was behind that anchor desk.
That's right.
So good luck to you, and your new role seems to suit you. You're very excited about it, and
I'm having a good time. I mean, I'm enjoying this role, and I think it's been a learning experience so far, but it's been a good one.
All right, come back to see us. Glad you're on board with affordable housing.
Thank you, sir. We are.
All right. Coming up right after this break, we will sit down with this year's chairman of the Parade of Homes and find out how participants this year can visit virtually. More Affordable Housing Matters right after this break.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
The 2020 Parade of Homes, presented by the Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans, is the largest showcase of the latest homes designs in the metro area. Joining me now to discuss the different types of homes in this year's showcase is Mr. Randy Noel, chairman of the 2020 Parade of Homes. Randy, can I call you Randy?
Yes, absolutely.
Welcome to Affordable Housing Matters.
Thank you.
Listen, it's nice to see you. This is an exciting time of year for you, and I don't know what it is about new houses, but it excites me as well.
Absolutely. We, this is the selling and buying season, although I'll be honest with you, people have been buying a lot here lately.
Now that surprises me. Even in this pandemic and with the employment numbers going up, people are still buying.
Yes, we have social media and online outreach, and it has lit absolutely up.
So refresh for us, the viewers, what is the Parade of Homes all about?
Well, the Parade of Homes is sponsored by the Home Builder Association of Greater New Orleans. And the builders, even though they're competitors, all put their homes up to showcase, the latest and greatest and most innovative things that are out there in the new home construction. And this year we've got 20 homes, and we did something a little different this year. We also have virtual homes. Every home that we're doing, and we have 24 of them, we're going to do a Matterport 3D.
A Matterport?
Matterport 3D video. Now this is
Okay.
a video you can literally stand in the room and turn and look at the room.
So
Online.
you can stand in the room?
You're standing in the room.
I'm standing in the room.
And you can move the camera around and look at the room just like you'd be standing there.
No kidding.
Yep.
So on my iPad and my smartphone, I
Absolutely.
can do this?
Yep.
I can make this happen?
Yep. We have an app that we're going to be launching called the New Orleans Parade of Homes that you can get out of Apple Store and Google Store. And that'll give you maps to the homes. There's 20 homes open, so you can go physically see those. And we're going to follow all the CDC rules and regs and the mask. And we're going to have masks for folks and hand sanitizer and clean our sites and be very careful and try to follow those rules for those that come to the site. But you can also go on that app, or you can go on our website, hbagno.com.org /Parade of Homes, and you can go to the home and you can actually walk in it with this video and look around just like you were there.
So when does all of this take place? When,
All right, July 11th and 12th is when the open house launches, when you can go from 1 to 5, and we're scattered from Luling, Louisiana, all the way over to Plaquemines with houses. Some here in New Orleans, some in Jefferson. And you can go visit personally, or you can go online and look and say, okay, I want to go to that one, and see some of the innovations that we're doing here in new homes. One of the innovations we're doing is a thing called Wellness Within Your Walls.
What is that all about?
Well, it's a third-party certification that has 60 disciplines under 8 categories of making your home healthier.
Okay.
Now, how about that for timing?
Yeah. Did you do it specifically for this reason, or was it something that was already in the works?
Purely by accident. We've been planning this for since last year, and up come COVID, and it treats your air in your home, gets rid of the carcinogens. There's no volatile organic compounds in the air. It takes care of the humidity in your house, keeps your humidity down. It teaches you how to live in your house. It makes you a more stable individual by the way they place the windows and etc. It's a pretty interesting thing. It's a gal out of Atlanta. Her name is Jillian Cook that formed the organization. She's been a designer for 30 years, and she works with Ramy Little and New Prius, and they actually put together this big discipline and sent someone out to certify that you did what they asked you to do. You got to tell them what kind of paints you use. You got to tell them what kind of materials you use, and all those things. And then April Air put in a state-of-the-art air filter and a state-of-the-art dehumidifier, takes outside air and inside air in. And then Signature Kitchen Homes at LG, they put in state-of-the-art appliances so that you can not have to use a laundromat, for example. There's a steam cabinets you can actually put your clothes in that cleans your clothes without all the chemicals.
Now, Noel, you're talking about all of these advancements. That sounds like a pretty pricey addition to a home.
Well, that's what's interesting about this. I actually did it with a home because I wanted to see exactly what it cost, and there's not that great big a cost to it. It's just being careful what you put in the house and make sure that they're doing, asking for the right thing.
That surprises me. How do you manage to have this high-tech equipment in a house it's actually managing the house for you.
Exactly.
Without having exorbitant prices involved.
Well, you strategically place what you're doing, and you make and so, for example, Leviton has a Wi-Fi switch that we use, and yes, it costs more than a regular switch, but it's going to control more lights, and you can do it with your iPhone or your iPad, and so you're going to lower your cost of your energy, because we used a waste heat recovery unit, which actually takes the heat out of the heat pump and heats the water for you. So you don't spend any money on heating your water, for example. And the houses are built to the National Green Building Standard, so that you're not burning a lot of electricity while you're living there. So it helps offset some of those upfront costs. But when I started looking at it, and I'm gonna do a list of all the things we did and the pricing and stuff. But for $5,000-$6,000 more maybe, you can get to this place. And when you look at a note, that adds like $25, $30 a month on your note, and you'll save that in your electrical bill.
That's doable.
Yes.
Yeah, no question about that. Now, where are these homes located? You said they're in Luling, and
there's two in Luling. There's we've got some in Lakeview. We have some in Harahan, a few in Plaquemines, some in St. Bernard. And interestingly enough, the North Shore Home Builder Association and the Baton Rouge Home Builder Association are having their parade of homes at the same time.
Oh, really?
So,
now, is this the first time that's happened?
That's the first time that's ever happened.
And is this by design, or?
Well, we all had to back our parades up
because of the
COVID.
pandemic. Yeah.
So I know them pretty well, and I said, well, why don't we just all do it together and make it a Southeast Louisiana show? And they agreed to do it.
Maybe this is something that's going to catch on, and you can do it.
I'm pretty excited about it, because between the three organizations, we've got well over 100 homes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And it's going to take you a while to see all of those, right?
Well, yeah.
Can you see all of those between July 11th and what did you say?
Yeah, 2
weekends.
You'd have to do some flying. That's where that app come really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
But most people will stay in their geography, where they want to live. So if you're going to live in Baton Rouge, you go see the Baton Rouge. If you live on the North Shore, you go see the North Shore.
Now let's talk about prices, home prices. You say that the sales are still pretty active. And so what are we looking at when we talk about the average price?
You're going to look at prices, something in the neighborhood of 300s, and in the parade houses, there's some over $1 million. There's some really nice ones. But that's probably the place that most of these show homes are. Pricing overall in New Orleans has been steadily climbing. And the biggest price increase we've seen, the property, the land that you build on. And a lot of that has to do with 60% of the cost of developing a piece of property is because of federal, state, and local regulations.
Right, right. Now, you talked about the virtual home tour, and you talked about the physical home tour. Now, is the virtual home tour available 24/7?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter what time of day it is, time of day, you can go in there.
Middle of the night, you can go in there and look at the house.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty cool. So because we had to we originally planned, the parade was May 31st, because we had to back it up, there's some people that had to actually go to active sales on their homes.
Ah.
So we went in and videoed them before the people moved in so that they could still participate. And this may be something we go to do from now on. They're doing it all over the country, and they've had a whole lot of success with it.
Yeah, well, why not? This just adds to it, right? This just gives you another option.
Well, and like I said, our social media and our online advertising has been lighting up. And we post a lot of pictures of our houses, all the builders do. And all of them are telling us that, people, because they're sitting at home, are looking at houses. So,
I know I do. Yeah, it never gets old.
No.
Looking at a house, a new house. What's the app number for the virtual?
Well, the app, you'll get it on your app store, either Apple or Google. There'll be New Orleans Parade of Homes. It's not quite up yet. We've got to go do the videos.
Right.
And the website is hbagno.org, O-R-G, /Parade of Homes, or POH. And the pictures of the houses that are there now, the video should be up here in the next 30 days.
All right, and we're talking about 2 weekends starting in July.
July 11th to 12th and July 18th to 19th.
All right, Randy Noel, Home Builders Association. It's always nice to have you here on the show.
Great to be here, Norman.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Good luck to you.
All right.
We would like to again thank Jefferson Parish Council at Large Scott Walker and the 2020 chairman of the Parade of Homes, Mr. Randy Noel, for joining us today on Affordable Housing Matters. Also, please remember, if you would like to rewatch this or any other past episode of our program, please visit WLAE.com and click on the programming link. There you can view all of our programs at your leisure. We would like to thank you for joining us today. I'm Norman Robinson, and we will see you next time on Affordable Housing Matters.